The sky was a dull gray, not quite dark, but heavy with stillness. Aaron, an 18-year-old boy, stood just beyond the rusted gates of the abandoned cemetery on the outskirts of town. He had heard stories about this place his whole life, about the voices people claimed to hear at night, the strange figures that vanished when approached, the cold winds that seemed to move with purpose. But for him, this place had another meaning. This was where his mother had been buried 6 months ago, under strange circumstances no one in the family would talk about. He hadn't returned since the funeral. Not until now. Something had been gnawing at him for weeks, an urge, a pull. He couldn't explain it, but every night he'd dream of the same thing. His mother's voice, distant but clear, saying, "Go back. You have to know." And then always in the dream, a flash of light and silence. The cemetery wasn't completely covered in darkness, but the light that remained felt unnatural, flat, like the sun was unsure whether to shine or hide. As Aaron walked past the cracked headstones and crooked statues, a chill settled over his skin. He didn't know exactly what he was looking for. He only knew that something wasn't right. He stopped in front of her grave. The earth still looked recently disturbed. His mother's name etched in stone looked almost too clean, too new compared to the worn markers around it. The funeral had felt strange that day. Closed casket, a rushed ceremony, and a dozen unanswered questions no one dared to address. Aaron took a deep breath and dropped to his knees. He had brought a small spade in his backpack, not because he planned to use it, at least not at first, but now sitting there, that same force from his dreams seemed to wrap around him, pushing him forward. He began digging. The soil was damp but not too heavy, the scent of moss and old earth rising with every stroke. His heart pounded harder with each inch he uncovered. And then, his shovel struck something. Hard. Not wood, not stone. Metal. Confused, he brushed the dirt away with his hands. His breath caught when he saw it. A small, blackened phone, wedged between the earth and the side of the coffin. Not in her hands, not buried beside her, stuffed into the side, like it wasn't supposed to be there at all. He picked it up, wiping the mud from its surface. The screen surprisingly flickered to life. No lock, no passcode, just a single open message. If you're reading this, it means they're already watching. Aaron froze. Who was watching? And why had this phone been buried with his mother? A strange wind blew through the cemetery at that moment, gentle but sharp, not cold, but unnerving. The trees rustled though the air was still. It felt like something was shifting, like the moment he touched that phone, the cemetery had noticed. He stood slowly, eyes scanning the empty path behind him. There was no one, not a soul, but somehow he didn't feel alone. Aaron backed away from the grave slowly, his fingers tightening around the phone, like it might slip away if he let his grip ease for even a second. That message, "They're already watching," echoed in his head, again and again, louder than the wind rustling through the trees. He kept looking over his shoulder, but the cemetery was still empty, motionless, as if time had paused the moment he touched that phone. He took a few unsteady steps back toward the path, trying to catch his breath. His mind raced with questions. Who buried this phone? When? And what did his mother have to do with any of this? She had never owned this model. In fact, she hated smartphones altogether, always said they were dangerous, always turned her face when someone tried to take a picture. And yet here it was, in her grave. The phone buzzed in his hand. A new notification. No caller ID, no app name. Just a blinking screen and a vibration that seemed to pulse with urgency. Aaron hesitated for a moment before opening it. What he saw made his legs weaken. A video. Time-stamped 3 days before his mother's death. Shaking, he tapped play. The screen lit up with static at first and then slowly came into focus. It was his mother sitting in a dimly lit room, eyes sunken, voice hushed, her expression full of fear. She spoke into the camera like she was recording her last confession. "Aaron, if this reaches you, it means I didn't make it out. You're not safe. None of us are. There are people, things, connected to this place, the cemetery. I thought I could bury the truth, but it always finds its way back. Don't trust anyone who says they're here to help. They're watching everything. I left the phone buried with me because it's the only proof I had left. And if you found it, if you're watching this, then they already know you have it. Aaron's stomach twisted into knots. His legs felt like stone. He dropped to his knees trying to process what he'd just heard. His mom, terrified, desperate, had left him a warning from beyond the grave. The phone wasn't just a piece of evidence. It was a target. And now that it was in his hands, he was the target. Suddenly, from deeper inside the cemetery, he heard the sound of footsteps. Not heavy, not fast, but slow, deliberate, crunching across gravel and dead leaves, one after another. Aaron snapped his head toward the sound. Nothing. He stood up and backed toward the exit. The fog had started to roll in again, thicker now, like it had been waiting for a cue. The light sky had dulled further, and every inch of him screamed to leave. But curiosity, the need to understand, rooted him in place. His phone buzzed again. Another message. Don't run. You've already been marked. He turned sharply toward the grave. There was no one there. But something had changed. The air smelled different, like old ashes and damp wood. And then he heard it. A voice. Soft, right behind him. You weren't supposed to find it. He spun, eyes wide. But there was nothing. Just air, trees, silence. But it wasn't the kind of silence that brought peace. It was the kind that meant something had shifted, like the entire cemetery was now awake. And it knew him. Aaron knew he had two choices: leave now and pretend none of this ever happened, or follow whatever trail his mother left behind, no matter how deep or dark it went. He looked down at the phone again. The screen had changed. There was a map now, a red dot glowing, inside the cemetery. Aaron's fingers hovered over the phone screen as the glowing red dot pulsed on the map. It wasn't just any location. It was inside the cemetery, not far from where he stood, just beyond the overgrown path that led deeper into the old section, the part most people refused to visit even in daylight. His breath fogged the air as he stepped off the gravel path and into the untamed grass. Each crunch beneath his feet echoed louder than it should have, like the cemetery was amplifying every sound. The trees above leaned in closer, branches creaking, swaying without wind. It felt like the entire place was breathing around him. The red dot on the screen moved. Just slightly, but it moved. Aaron froze. Was someone holding the phone from the inside? Was it tracking something else? Suddenly, another vibration. A new message appeared. She didn't die the way they said she did. His heart dropped. The official story had been simple. An unexpected illness, a quick decline, nothing suspicious. But he'd never believed it. His mother was healthy, active, always alert. Her death was too sudden, too quiet. And now, this. The map flickered and a new path appeared. An old trail behind the gravestones, mostly hidden by vines and rotting branches. Aaron followed it carefully, every step deliberate, his nerves stretched tight like a wire. As he walked, the surrounding temperature seemed to drop. Not freezing, but colder than it should have been, like something was watching him. The path ended at a broken stone arch, almost consumed by ivy. Beneath it was a collapsed tomb, its roof caved in, revealing an old iron staircase that disappeared into darkness. The red dot on the phone stopped moving. It was inside there. Aaron stared at it, pulse racing. Every part of him said this was a mistake. But he knew. Whatever his mother had buried, this was where it led. He stepped down into the opening. The staircase creaked under his weight, rusted and slick. As he reached the bottom, his flashlight caught walls lined with crumbling bricks and bones. Human bones, piled in corners. Some old. Some not as old as they should have been. This wasn't a crypt. It was something else. A chamber, a holding place. And in the center, a metal table, with another phone. It looked newer, untouched by dirt or dust, as if someone had just placed it there. Aaron approached slowly. His hand trembled as he reached for it, but the phone screen lit up before he could even touch it. You're not the first, but you might be the last. Behind him, the stairs creaked. Then again. Someone, or something, was coming down. Aaron backed up, holding the first phone tight in one hand, the second just inches from his reach. He didn't know what to grab, what to run with. His heart slammed against his chest as footsteps echoed off the stone walls. He turned and aimed his flashlight. Nothing. But the light flickered, and the cold deepened. A whisper filled the air. "She tried to warn you, but it was already too late." Aaron finally grabbed the second phone and bolted back toward the stairs. The walls seemed to close in. The whispers turned to growls. As he climbed, the last thing he heard from below was a single, clear voice. His mother's. "Don't trust the one who calls you next." He burst out of the crypt, back into the dying light of the evening. The sky above was darker now, the fog thicker, but the cemetery was quiet again, unnaturally so. He didn't know who was coming, but now he had both phones, and two sets of secrets, and they were only just beginning to unravel. Aaron didn't stop running until he reached the old marble angel statue near the entrance of the cemetery. The same one he remembered from when he was a kid, back when his mother would bring flowers for relatives long gone. Back then, this place felt peaceful, but now it pulsed with something else, something wrong. He bent over, catching his breath, both phones gripped tight in his shaking hands. One was cracked and dirt-covered, his mother's, the one from the grave. The other was pristine, modern, untouched by time, the one he found in the crypt. He didn't know which one was more dangerous. The newer phone buzzed violently in his hand. No caller ID, just the word, unknown. Aaron hesitated. The warning still echoed in his ears. "Don't trust the one who calls you next." It was her voice, his mother's voice. Calm, firm, loving even in death. That one sentence carried more weight than everything else he'd seen so far. Still, he tapped decline. The phone vibrated again. This time, a message. "You're being watched. Put the phones down and walk away, Aaron. You still have a choice." But he didn't feel like he had a choice at all. Every path so far had only led deeper. Every answer spawned two more questions. He sat on the bench near the old statue, lit only by the fading natural light and the faint glow of both screens. Then, almost as if summoned, the first phone, his mother's, buzzed again. A voice message. He put it on speaker, heart pounding. "If you're hearing this, they've probably already found you. The second phone isn't theirs. I stole it. What's on that device? It's what they were trying to hide. You need to listen to everything. You need to decide who you believe. But whatever you do, don't hand it over." Aaron sat frozen, the full weight of her words finally crashing down on him. She knew. His mother had known exactly what she was getting into. She hadn't died by accident. She'd been part of something bigger. And now, because he dug it all up, because he couldn't let go, he was in it too. The second phone suddenly lit up again. This time it displayed a live video feed. Aaron tapped it, and what he saw made his blood run cold. It was the cemetery, live, from a camera hidden somewhere. And it was showing him, sitting right where he was. He stood up so fast the bench shook. He looked around wildly. Trees, statues, fog, shadows. But no people, no movement. Yet someone was watching him, someone who knew everything. His mother's voice played again, on its own. "They use the cemetery because it's hidden, because no one asks questions about the dead. But not everyone buried here is really gone. Some are still part of it." Aaron's breath caught. He looked back at the path leading to the crypt. The fog was creeping forward again, curling over headstones, slithering along the ground like it had purpose. He checked the second phone. Another message. "One more step, and you'll learn what she died protecting." He didn't know what to do. Turn and run? Take the phones and destroy them? Or go back down and finish what his mother started? Then, the phones both went dark. Dead, at the same time. And from deep within the cemetery, a new sound emerged. Not wind, not footsteps. A low, echoing hum, like chanting, coming from underground, from beneath the crypt. Aaron's heart pounded. The sky was darker now. His legs felt heavy, but his mind screamed with clarity. This wasn't just about her death anymore. It was about what she left behind, and what they were still trying to keep buried. Aaron stood motionless, both phones now black in his hands, as the low hum from beneath the cemetery grew louder, deeper like voices chanting through the soil, calling something awake. The ground beneath his feet didn't shake, but it felt alive, like it was breathing, like it was listening, watching. He should have run, but he didn't. Instead, he turned slowly toward the crypt, toward the fog, toward the tomb that had already taken too much. The silence around him wasn't natural. It was a pause, as if the entire cemetery was holding its breath to see what he would do next. And he knew it. This was the final step. He retraced the broken path back to the ruined tomb. The trees were still. The clouds above no longer moved. Not even the insects buzzed. Everything had gone quiet except for that haunting hum and the tension in the air, like reality itself was stretched too thin. As he descended the iron stairs once more, the old light he had used earlier flickered back on, though he hadn't touched it. The second phone, tucked in his jacket pocket, vibrated again, just once. No screen, no sound, just a single pulse, like a heartbeat. And then, as he reached the bottom of the stairs, the room was different. The bones were gone. The table had moved, and in its place stood a mirror, tall, cracked, framed in rusted silver. It wasn't there before. Aaron stepped closer. His own reflection stared back at him, but something was wrong. His reflection was smiling. He wasn't. The moment he saw it, the mirror shimmered, rippling like water. And then, without warning, his mother's voice spoke again, loud and clear, not from the phones but from behind the mirror. Aaron, don't believe what they show you. The truth is deeper than this. The real secret is not what happened to me. It's what I protected. And now it's yours. His reflection stopped mimicking him. And then it spoke. Let me out. Aaron stumbled back, breath caught in his throat. The humming stopped. Silence returned, and the mirror began to crack, webbing out like ice across glass. The air turned thick, and the room grew dark. Suddenly, one final message flashed on the first phone, his mother's phone, glowing faintly in the darkness. Smash the mirror, or trade places with me. The meaning hit him instantly. This place wasn't a crypt. It was a gateway, a prison, something ancient, something beyond understanding. And the mirror was the final seal. His mother had sealed something inside it. Maybe herself, maybe something else. And now, whatever it was, it wanted out. Aaron grabbed a rusted pipe from the floor and without hesitation swung it at the mirror. It shattered with a scream, not from glass but from whatever was inside. The chamber exploded with light, blinding and cold. The air whooshed out of the room like a vacuum had opened. His ears rang, his vision blurred. Then, silence. When Aaron opened his eyes, the chamber was empty again. The table was back. The bones returned, but the mirror was gone. Both phones now lay on the table, screens lit. A single final message blinked across both. Thank you. He turned and climbed the stairs, one step at a time, the night now still and calm. As he emerged from the crypt, the fog had cleared. The sky above was soft again. Not quite dark, not quite light. The cemetery was silent, but peaceful. Aaron stood there for a moment, unsure what had changed, but feeling somehow that something had ended, and something had begun. He placed both phones at the base of his mother's headstone, whispered, "I understand now," and walked away, never looking back. Not because he wasn't curious, but because now he knew some truths were better left buried.
Subscribe and press the bell icon so that you never miss the amazing video.